It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Welcome to another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast, the podcast made by film fans for film fans. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Hey.
And we're kind of in a rush today. It is January, it's February 1st today. It's the first day of February. We're recording, which means, of course, it's fucking snowing out in Minneapolis, because every time I come over here, it's gotta snow. But yeah, let's talk movies. We saw a decent amount of movies and TV from this past week, so let's touch on that. But Corey, first, how have you been, and what are we drinking today?
Kind of stressed. My Pats are in the Super Bowl.
What do you think their chances are?
I like right where we're at. We're the underdogs. Everyone thinks the Seahawks are going to blow them out.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it will be a pretty tight game.
It's always just nerve-wracking, not to be like, my team's in the Super Bowl, I'm stressed, but like...
and you're a Pats fan, so your team frequently goes to the Super Bowl, but now you have a new team behind it going there, so...
It's been a long, 6 years or whatever it's been since we were last there.
I mean, I would say as a Vikings fan, but I know you're a Vikings fan too, so it's not lost on you, but as a Chargers fan, fuck you.
No, I'm just going to be stressed the whole night. I can't enjoy anything fully, and I'm just... I kind of hate that.
And I think... regardless of who we watch this with, if it's our friend group, you're likely the only person that's going to be rooting for the Pats. So everyone's going to be rooting against you, which is a horrible way to feel, because then if the Pats win, you're the only one happy, and you just feel like a dick. So, I want more than anything, I want a good game. As a Vikings fan and as a Sam Darnold fan, I kind of want Darnold to just go off. If he won Super Bowl MVP, I'd be like, fuck yeah. I think Drake May has a chance at doing that, so I just want a good game. I'm excited. Last year, I was more excited for Kendrick than I was for the actual game.
Yep.
This year, I'm actually excited for the game. I think it's going to be a good one, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of shit to get into this week, but we got a new Marvel out that's supposed to be pretty good.
New Marvel's pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's straight on your TV, right on Disney+.
That's right.
Going in, we had Wonder Man drop this week, which was kind of a quiet release, I feel like. We didn't even talk about it on last week's episode. There wasn't a lot of expectation, at least from Corey and I, going into this week with this show coming out. It's created by Destin Daniel Cretton, so someone who has already kind of proven their worth within the MCU with Shang-Chi, and now he's handling Spider-Man Brand New Day. Co-created by Andrew Guest. This is starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Simon Williams as Wonder Man, and Ben Kingsley, ex-Mayo, Ariane Moayed, and Joe Pantoliano. Joey Pants. Kind of a surprise. I putting that together, I was like, what the fuck is he doing in this? It makes sense. But this is about Hollywood actor Simon Williams in the thrust of the world of superheroes. He's trying to prove himself as an actor, get consistent work, and then not only that, one of his favorite movies of all time from childhood is getting remade, Wonder Man, which within the MCU is apparently this sci-fi classic, something he grew up with his dad and really loves it. And he sees this as his potential to be his potentially big break. And he gets callbacks. It's him struggling as an actor. His camaraderie and chemistry with Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley. We get more of the Mandarin in this, which I really appreciated. But yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised by this. Again, didn't have much expectations. Got to sit down and plug away at 8, probably 25-minute episodes once you cut off the credits, both beginning and end credits. I had a great time watching this show, and it was a big, pleasant surprise. It feels so unlike Marvel in the same realm of, the Eternals or even, Werewolf by Night. It's so not the typical Marvel shtick and formula that it was really refreshing. But, Corey, what are some of your big takeaways of this show? Yeah,
that's the biggest thing is that, don't go into the show thinking it's going to be big CGI action. Even, in the last episode, it's not that at all. Really is just the people within the MCU, kind of normal people. And that was my favorite part, honestly, was Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley, and just seeing their friendship kind of blossom as they're just trying to get callbacks and film audition tapes at Joey Pants' house, or just trying to find a location where they can actually film an audition.
Was that the second or third episode when they're just running around trying to find? I was like, this is so fun. I don't know what the overarching story is really going to shape up to be, but I was just like, I don't even care. I just love these characters together figuring shit out.
Yeah, it was great. And I think the standout episode for me was the fourth one, which is Doorman. And it's all, or almost all, in black and white. And it follows this actor previously who had powers. He can have stuff go through him. And so, which is really funny, in like a club scene, people just like threw him in a door.
Yeah.
But I thought it handled just like the use of kind of more subtle superpowers within the MCU and how everyday people use those and how it would impact getting a job and then getting stardom and fame and how you can launch your career off that, but also how it can topple if something goes wrong. And we kind of see that carry over with Simon Williams too, where he has some powers. Again, it's kind of subtle, like ionic type powers or something.
It's not super like in-depth exploration of his powers, which I also appreciated, or even like where they came from. It's just this show treats superpowers as a hindrance, and it's one of the few characters where we really get that, except for like the Hulk in the MCU. I feel like where it's just like, I don't want people to know this about me, and I need to keep this under control, because when it comes out, then I can't do what I really love and what I'm pursuing in my career, because because of episode 4, we learned that there's like this act or law put into place that anyone with superpowers or any superpower capabilities can't be in television or movies. They can't be working, just because the liability of having someone of that stature and that capability on set, boom, your insurance is way up. No one's going to pay those costs. You can't be on set. It's going to be too detrimental to everyone's safety and the cost of the production.
Yeah.
So, and how that episode 4 blends into that and sets up, I really need to keep this shit on lock and key. I can't let anyone know, and I can't show out like what I'm capable of. We get like one fight scene in this show, and that's refreshing. In an 8-episode Marvel show, to say you get one big fight, and it's not even like that big of a fight. It's just a little brawl in like the back alleyway, and I'm like, all right, like this is great. I love this. So again, just super refreshing stuff from an MCU show that I wasn't really excited about.
And this is the second Marvel series that is under the Spotlight banner. Yeah. And the first one was Echo, and the kind of goal behind that was to do more ground level, kind of character-driven movies or series. And I really like that idea. And like Echo, I think is fine. I like Wonder Man more than that. But just kind of having little references here and there. We see some characters like Arian Moayed, who was like the DODC guy. He was in No Way Home and Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
So seeing some of that stuff, like, it doesn't rely on you having seen those things to understand it, but just nice little tie-ins. And it's also kind of a very, like, meta show, too, where a lot of real-life directors and things are referenced. So Christopher Nolan's reference. Yeah, you have Joey Pants, like we said, and just a lot of people where it feels like the studio, almost, the studio, mixed with La La Land almost, where just like people are trying to get like an acting gig, and then there's like meta things within the industry. So I had a really good time with this. I think it's one of the better like MCU shows I've seen in a little while here,
100%.
And I think that like recently with Marvel, they've done cool things with their third acts with like this and Thunderbolts, where they don't feel like a typical big CGI blockbuster thing where Thunderbolts is like just a mental health exploration. Yeah. And then this one is just kind of like two guys trying to make it in Hollywood and like bring out the best part of themselves and realize that, and just becoming buddies along the way and the trials and tribulations of that. So this was a win for me. And again, kind of like you said, it was a surprise this week. I was like, I'm going to watch it. It's a new MCU show, but I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
And going into it, I didn't know it was all dropping all at once. And usually I'd be like, oh, that's a sign, or that's indicative of this show being likely pretty bad, that they're just trying to sweep it under the rug, get it out. And watching it immediately, I was like, "Oh no, I'm really digging this." And I came to love the chemistry between these two characters of Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery. The way MCU has really rehabilitated Trevor Slattery's character within the MCU, like I don't like Iron Man 3, and I really don't like that twist. I don't like a lot of things about that movie outside of the twist, but just Trevor Slattery kind of had like a damaged reputation within the MCU, and then Shang-Chi comes along, and I'm like, wow, why the fuck is he here? I like it, though. And now he's in this movie, and I'm like, in this show, and it works, it makes sense, and I also really enjoyed his contributions to this, so much so that what kind of the shifted focus of like the latter half of episode 8 made so much sense to me. Where they kind of keep you in the dark at times as to like, what is Simon Williams doing now? What is he really studying for a role? And I really appreciated that. So this was really refreshing. Of the Disney Plus MCU shows, it's one of my favorites. Like, it's up there with WandaVision. It's not, I don't like it more than WandaVision. I don't like it more than, like, I'd say Loki. Those are kind of the two like unbeatables for me, I feel like. But it's up there. It's living amongst the Moon Knights because I really liked Moon Knight. And this was probably one of the most consistent. While I love WandaVision, that show it falters at times. This show, every episode, I enjoyed. I had a great time watching. So definitely check it out if you haven't. I'm more excited to see now where these characters go into future projects, if they're going to show up in one of the Avengers films, or if we're going to get a season 2 of Wonder Man. I'm excited to just spend more time with these characters because this is the most like hangout series we've gotten, or hangout experience we've gotten in the MCU, and it works so well. It's just so fun. So I can't wait to see these characters more.
Yeah, I agree. And with Ben Kingsley, like the Mandarin twist in Iron Man 3, I think is one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made. Because even when he pops back into the Mandarin voice here, I'm like, you would have been so good as just the actual Mandarin. Yeah. Like, you'll never see me coming.
It's his Mandarin voice, and like when fans bring it up to him, and you can just see it on his face, where it's like, yeah, I know. And
like,
then
it was the Mandarin.
I'm gonna have to answer questions about me kind of being a terrorist.
Yeah. So, with that being said, like what they did in Shang-Chi, like you had mentioned, and with this show, I think is the right direction. That, like they made their choice in Iron Man 3. How do we kind of do it?
How do we correct Shane Black?
Yeah, exactly. How do we do that? And I think they've done a good job. And like I said, I love seeing these characters. I'd love to see them again. So, if you were kind of put off by any MCU stuff lately and you wanted something different, this is definitely that. If you're looking for a big CGI superhero thing, it's not that. So, it's cool within the MCU. I'm glad that this exists for sure.
100%.
The big movie that came out this week, which is my current favorite movie of the year, is Send Help from Sam Raimi. I was really excited for this one, to see him do an original movie. It's been a little while after Multiverse of Madness and Oz the Great and Powerful, a lot of franchisey type things. He returns to an original story here, kind of more in the horror roots a little bit. And it's about Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. Dylan O'Brien is her boss that comes in, and he's just the smarmy douchebag, like frat bro son taking over his dad's company, whatever. He plays it so good in this movie.
He does, and there's times where I'm like, you're kind of endearing, and then the next sentence, I'm like, oh, actually, you are a douchebag. Like, you're the worst person ever.
I love his laugh in this movie.
Oh, yes.
It's fantastic. Rachel McAdams is also fantastic. She's kind of the nerdy, like, kind of frumpy girl at work that is into, like, Survivor and all these survival books, has a bird, and everybody makes fun of her.
She would be looked at as, like, the cat lady in any office, but she's just, like, has a bird and likes Survivor. She's just nerdy, kind of. And doesn't get social cues. Kind of awkward,
I think she plays it really well, too, where, like, you understand why she's nerdy. She has, like, food on her lips and when she's talking to people. But she's also, like, very sweet, and you're like, this is sad.
You deserve to succeed.
Like, you're a good person. Like, you're good at she's good at her job here, like, good with numbers, so they keep her around and everything. And she's up for this promotion, and she doesn't get it. And so they go on the plane crashes on an island, and it's just her and Dylan O'Brien that survive. And the tables turned as far as the power dynamics, the food chain, so to speak. And I just adored this movie. I think mainly because once you kind of get past the initial, like, build up to the plane crash and then kind of their initial dynamic on the island, like, I didn't know where this movie was going. I didn't know where it was going to end, which was really exciting in a movie. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know who's going to live, who's going to die. Mm-hmm. And seeing Rachel McAdams just kind of, like, take control on the island and be like, all right, I'm building a shelter, I'm getting water, here's food, I'm going to kill a boar. Like, all this shit, and Dylan O'Brien's like, fuck you, I don't need help. I'm going to lay here. I'm going
to limp around the sand all day.
And then he's like, fuck, I actually kind of need her help here.
She's good at this
damn
shit.
It was so much fun. Their I don't, like, maybe chemistry, I guess, isn't the right word, but their performances together, I thought, was just so much fun to watch. You get all the Sam Raimi-isms that you would hope for. Quick zoom-ins, Dutch angles here and there.
Some wonky effects, but only Sam Raimi can pull off, and you're like, it's kind of endearing in a way, especially with the boar. Yeah, this movie was so much fun. The big thing, like, it's kind of like a formulaic setup before that plane crash, and then it's how that story unpacks after. I will say that plane crashing sequence was one of my favorite parts of the movie, just because it is one locked off shot of one side of the plane, somewhat from Rachel McAdams' kind of perspective, or from her side of things, and seeing just the entire wall paneling just peel off And I was like, that's horrifying. Mm-hmm. And the crash, the way they end up on land, I really liked how it was all handled. And I like that immediate juxtaposition of like, you didn't take value in me in the office, but now I'm going to prove that I'm a necessity on land. Like, you cannot survive without me. And I think that they had good chemistry, like you mentioned. You get that wild boar killing scene that I'm like, the CGI is kind of wonky, but I'm also like, it's kind of charming.
Fun.
Yeah, it works for Sam Raimi. I will say, I like this movie a lot. I like it maybe a little bit less than you. It's my current number 2 of the year. Of the 4 horror movies I've seen in 2026, which I'm happy that in a month into 2026, my 4 movies that I saw in theaters were all horror movies. That's crazy. And they've all been relatively good. But I think that there are some moments where they foreshadow things to come, where they tip the hat of like, oh, that part of Island's all poisonous. And I'm like, okay, so what's actually going on over there? And I like the way that they kind of invert the rescue story and the desire to get rescued and just let you kind of marinate in the world of Rachel McAdams' character of just like, I'm thriving here. Mm-hmm. I'm in charge here, and now I have power. And I liked it. With kind of Sam Raimi's obvious skill set, you're going to get some good horrors. Obviously, you mentioned like the Dutch angles, like the very specific camera techniques to where you're like, oh yeah, this is Sam Raimi. Mm-hmm. The violence, when it happens, which it's not like very consistently violent, but the sporadic violence, especially towards the third act, I was like, fuck that! Oh my god! Just the most squirming shit. Like, I brought my wife to this. She was actually really excited about this, which was endearing and really exciting. She doesn't do the secondhand embarrassment of characters, or like the cringy shit of like when Rachel McAdams says like the tuna fish on her face, and you get that extreme close-up on Dylan O'Brien's eyes of just like definitely staring at it like, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. She was just like, oh god. But then you get some of the violence that happens in the latter parts of this movie, and she's just, her and I both are just like, oh god, no! So, what a fun time at the theaters. And how many Sam Raimi films have you seen in theaters? Because the last one I can think of was Spider-Man 3 in 2007. I think that was the last thing of Sam Raimi's I saw in theaters.
Well, Multiverse of Madness.
Fuck, I forgot that he did that. Yeah, that's true.
So that and this one are the 2 that I've seen in theaters. Yeah, I thought this movie blended tones really well. Like, it's really funny in parts, too.
Oh, yeah.
There's a really sweet scene between the 2 of them when they get drunk, and they're just kind of, like, opening up about their life.
Yeah.
And, like, their relationships, and, like, talking about their parents and all this stuff. And, like, even though Dylan O'Brien's, like, a shitty dude throughout the movie, you get little glimpses throughout where you're like, oh, I get why you are the way you are. And, like, it doesn't excuse your behavior, but it's also just like a nice little scene between them. There's also a very, as a dude, a very hard to watch scene
I forgot about
where Dylan O'Brien can't really move, and Rachel McAdams kind of has all the power. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything.
How long into that sequence did you feel like what was implied to be happening was actually happening?
Probably like halfway through.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think it makes sense for you to really go in full bore on this and just cutting in. And then the way it was revealed, I was like, it's even scarier knowing how much of an upper hand she has, how conniving and how intelligent she is and in charge of every situation she's put into. It's like, oh my god, like, it would have been horrific if this actually was happening to Dylan O'Brien, but it's also equally as scary knowing that this woman was able to manipulate this man's mind. And so easily doing so. It's just, oh my god.
Yeah, and I really did love kind of what you brought up of how Rachel McAdams feels at home on the island, and she's like, this is my place. You're like, we have everything we need. Food, water. It's like, we're good
She
here.
kind of jokingly is like, we should never leave.
Yeah.
And it's like,
what if we didn't get rescued?
What if we stay?
What if I didn't tell you if there was maybe a boat on
that
the
circled
horizon?
a couple of times. Yeah.
What about that? And so I love that aspect of it. I love their kind of relationship in the movie. I love how the movie ends as well. I think it's just like a perfect ending for this. I was like, yeah, nice. Like this is sweet. So I don't really have any notes for this movie. I think it's a great combination of everything Sam Raimi's done well in his career, kind of in one movie. It's so enjoyable. I think it's really well paced. It has funny moments. It's brutal. It's gory at times. It's got some good drama in there. I had a great time with it. This is kind of how I feel when people are talking about 20 years later, The Bone Temple, where they're like, this could be on my top 10 of 2026. I feel that way about this movie, where this will get mentioned at some point in 11 months when we do our like end of year review. This will be like, if I see 20 movies better than this, then it's been a really good year.
Yeah.
So it'll be mentioned in my honorable mentions or top 10. So really had a good time with Send Help. Go see it in the theater. It looks great. It sounds great.
Yeah.
It's a really fun time. Bring some friends. Go see it. In preparation for the movie, I decided to do a little Sam Raimi backlog and watch some that I hadn't seen before. So I started with Darkman from 1990, which,
awesome movie.
When you say the words Liam Neeson action movie,
Taken.
a lot of times you think of what he's done in
Yeah.
the past 20 years or so. But this was kind of one of the first ones, I feel like. And it's a very small movie that nobody really talks about, but it is kind of a mix between a monster movie and a superhero origin story.
Yeah.
Where Liam Neeson is the scientist. He's trying to create synthetic skin. And then kind of his wife, or his girlfriend played by Frances McDormand, they kind of get involved with these like gangsters in the city almost, and they burn down his lab, and he gets scarred and everything, and he has to try and make some skin to go back out into the world. And this movie was really cool. This is like a great combination of everything Sam Raimi does well. This is like the quintessential Sam Raimi, where
it blends the horror and the superhero. Like, it's so good.
I think it's like almost a combination between like Evil Dead 2 and Send Help, where like Send Help is like a bit more mainstream, I guess, and Evil Dead 2 is very zany and wonky and has all of the Sam Raimi-isms. This movie's kind of in the middle a little bit, where it combines all that stuff, has the horror, has the action. Like, the last third of this movie is like helicopters flying around, fighting in this factory. And it's so much fun. Like, it's such a cool movie, and I love the idea of Liam Neeson, like, the technology he has as a scientist to take pictures of people and then create, like, a Mission Impossible mask. But it can only last for 99 minutes. So he has to time out everything, and if he goes past that, it starts to melt, and he's like, fuck, I gotta get out of here. So it was just really fun as he's kind of getting revenge on these people and trying to win back Frances McDormand. Again, it's kind of a Frankenstein monster movie in parts, part Spider-Man origin story type of deal.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just a great combination of everything. I had a great time watching it. I feel like it doesn't get mentioned as much when people talk about Sam Raimi. They mention Evil Dead and Spider-Man and now Send Help. But this one was really cool, and I would highly recommend watching it.
This movie is massively underrated in terms of like the Sam Raimi directorial efforts, but also just in terms of like monster features and also quasi superhero films. Like, if you're gonna tell me that the guy that directed Evil Dead also did the the Spider-Man movies in the early 2000s, it's like, well, how did he get there? It's like, well, Darkman is that stepping stone to get him to that, and you can see a lot of that first Spider-Man film within this. You can see those kind of that style, that aesthetic kind of grow in that direction to where it makes sense to get what we got out of those Spider-Man films, which I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Obviously 3 a little bit less, but I love those movies. This movie is so much fun. It is a good kind of creature feature. It reminds me of films like The Reanimator from the 80s. It's just such a fun romp, and like I said, this one kind of gets buried in the Sam Raimi back catalog. Like, you get the Spider-Man, you get the Evil Dead, you get, weirdly enough, hearing about the Oz the Great and the Powerful, or that was like the big thing growing up. I was like, Sam Raimi, the guy that made Spider-Man, is doing a Wizard of Oz movie. That should be good, and I've still yet to see it, and I've heard it's not that great. But like, this horror king made a horror superhero film, and then also in whenever Multiverse of Madness came out, 2021. When did that movie come out?
22, I think it was.
2022.
Yeah.
It's like, that also makes sense for him to handle something like that if you look at Darkman. Darkman is something so prevalent throughout the rest of his filmography. Like, it makes sense. You get those kind of tropes of the way he shoots films, the way characters kind of express themselves. It's just such a fun romp. And also it puts Liam Neeson, as someone who's really only seen Liam Neeson in like his more recent action adventures, or like the Taken, the Nonstop, like that genre, that era of Liam Neeson, and then Schindler's List, to see him in this where he's more endearing, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I like this. So I really enjoy this movie. It's one of my favorite Sam Raimi films, and like you said, it's definitely underrated. It's just such a fun ride. It's such a good movie. I haven't seen the sequels, and I don't even know if Sam Raimi is really involved in the sequels to Darkman.
I don't think so.
But the first one, all I can speak on, it's great. I'm happy you got to see it.
Yeah, I saw that there were sequels, and I was like, nah, not this week. The third one's called like Die, Darkman, Die or something. I'm like, I'm okay.
That's fine.
I think that's fine. The other Sam Raimi movie I watched was Drag Me to Hell. I've had this Blu-ray for a long time, and I finally decided to watch it. I watched the unrated version, which it's not like longer. It just has like a little bit more gore and like a couple scenes.
CG blood.
Yeah, because the like theatrical version's PG-13, so nice to just have a few more gory moments in there. This came out in 2009, and it stars Alison Lohman. She works at a bank, and she kind of denies this old woman her loan for her house, and the woman puts a curse on her, and mayhem ensues as she basically has like 3 days until she's dragged down to hell. And this was another just really fun movie to watch. Justin Long is great. I mean, I love seeing him pop up in anything, and he's like the boyfriend of Alison Lohman, and he's at first kind of like, yeah, okay, like,
sure,
like, are you like, this woman attacked you in a car, which that's a great scene in like a parking ramp when old woman is like in the back seat, and it's fight scene in the car, good stuff. But Justin Long's like, all right, well, I don't know if there's like a curse necessarily, but you know, we'll see what happens. But he's really good. Lorna Raver is also really good as the old woman in this movie, who puts the curse on her. And again, it has all the Sam Raimi things. It has shots of eyes getting destroyed by things. Yeah, it has the classic scenes of kind of cross dissolves as there's things spinning through and fading and coming in. All of the things that you want to see. And the thing I like most about this movie is, again, kind of the ending of it, because it sets up as more sirens go by. Every week the fucking sirens.
Every week. Around this time, we'll record and we'll have sirens going by.
Yeah.
Good Minneapolis stuff. Has been interesting the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's cruising by now. But I really like the ending because they kind of set up this idea of like this button that's very important to the story that is kind of the like item that somebody has that kind of marks them for getting dragged down to hell by these demons or whatever. And they set it up in a way where I think you're kind of meant to know that like what's going on, but the characters don't. And then the movie ends, and I don't want to spoil it, but I really like how it ends. It is like kind of dark, and you're like, oh, damn, like I don't know if they deserve that. Like that kind of fucking sucks.
That, and it's done in a very brutal way, and you're like, oh, fuck, God
damn it. But it's just like a kind of a bold ending, I suppose, where it's not necessarily a happy ending, and I really appreciated that. So this one was a lot of fun for me. It's not in my like top tier of Raimi rankings, but definitely glad I've watched it. Just I feel like Darkman and Drag Me to Hell were two nice movies to watch before Send Help.
100%.
Where it was just like filling in a bit of the gaps and kind of getting more of his earlier stuff, and his horror elements kind of leaning in with both. So two great movies, and like I watched The Quick and the Dead a few months back, which was a lot of fun. I enjoy that movie. I think it's underrated. So I've had a good little Sam Raimi watch in these past few months, and I'm glad that I've filled out more of his filmography.
Yeah, I think I saw a report even that Sam Raimi was potentially going to work on a Batman flick, and I'm like, God, that'd be so cool. But also your sensibilities in terms of directing in a Batman film would be wild. And like, make it a horror movie, sure, do whatever you want. Happy you watched Drag Me to Hell. I think I watched it for the first time last year, and I might have brought it up or talked about it on the podcast. Did you know about the ending before watching the movie?
I didn't know anything about it.
So I was a big Watch Mojo kid, and like I watched everything, like top 10 Sam Raimi movies or top 10 horror movie endings of like the 2000s and shit like that. And I had known about the ending before seeing Drag Me to Hell, and I wish I didn't because it is such a ballsy ending. And not knowing it going into it, I was like, all right, I know where this all leads to. It kind of does color the way you watch the film. It's still a good film. It's still fun to watch. It's still zany as hell. Their tongue through the phone shit. Like, it's just such a fun, campy horror Sam Raimi movie. Like, it works really well. And I think even like the dated aspects of like the visual effects, kind of like what we mentioned with Send Help, like a Sam Raimi movie can operate with kind of shoddy effects at times, but it still works in a charming way. I really like this movie. Like you said, it's not one of my favorite Sam Raimi movies, but it was one that I really enjoyed watching. Like, I don't think, from what I've seen of Sam Raimi, that he's really missed fully. Like, Spider-Man 3 isn't all that great. I like Multiverse of Madness a good deal. I think probably more so than most people. The Quick and the Dead wasn't personally for me, but I still had a good time watching it. I haven't seen Oz the Great and Powerful, so I can't really speak on that. Could you name, not necessarily in order, but like what would you say are three of your favorite Sam Raimi movies?
That's tough.
It's tough with what just came out this week and how that kind of sits in there too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man 1 and 2 like would probably be in there. And then as far as like Evil Dead movies go, I think the second one is maybe my favorite of those.
Yeah.
Or the first one. Like, I love the original Evil Dead. I think that's just such a grimy, awesome movie.
Nasty.
Yeah, so some combination of those, but Send Help is definitely up there in my rankings. Like, I really love that movie.
Yeah, I'd say the first Spider-Man, I'd say Darkman, and I'd say Evil Dead 2. And you kind of touching on most of the franchise work that he's done there.
Mm-hmm.
But Send Help is clawing at what would be like a potential fourth spot in that conversation. It's a really good time. So I'm happy you did a little Sam Raimi watch through. You can't really go wrong with a lot of these films that Sam Raimi does. I'd definitely go check out Send Help in theaters. It's a great time. It's pretty unpredictable, and it's a fun watch. Like I said, I've seen 4 horror movies in January of 2026. One of those being a movie I wasn't really anticipating seeing. But I had some extra time in my day. I was like, fuck it, why not? I'll go check it out. But Iron Lung, which is directed by Mark Fishbach, who known as Markiplier on YouTube and online. This is his feature directorial debut. I'm not super familiar with Markiplier. I think he does like video game playthroughs and reviews of stuff to an extent. I don't know him that much. This film is, I believe, written, executive produced, led, like acting lead, and directed by Mark Fishbach. So it's a big endeavor, him taking a full swing on basically every craft element of this film. Troy Baker's also padding out the cast, which Troy Baker, a famous voice actor from a lot of video games that you love. Also got Elise Lovelock. This is about a post-apocalyptic future after this quiet rapture has happened, where all of the stars in the sky, all the space, all the planets, everything, most of the people in the world have vanished. This convict is now set to explore this blood ocean on a desolate moon, using this submarine called the Iron Lung to search for missing stars, to search for planets, to search for any signs of life. This film, like I said, directed by Mark Fishbach, it's his directorial effort. It's this adaptation of a game that clearly he loves. And you can get that sense of like deep admiration for this game that we're seeing in this movie. You can feel in the choices and the style how like this is a chamber piece of just, you see basically one actor for 2 hours in a submarine. You get some little character interactions outside. You get voice cast coming in through this intercom that the character talks and interacts with. But it's mostly just one man in the submarine exploring this blood ocean. And he can't really get a good visual on things, so all he has to really rely on is this camera at the back of the tank that takes uses radio frequencies, radio waves, because it's blood, to kind of get a heat imaging of what's outside the sub. I think that this film has a lot of good ideas. I just don't think it necessarily delivers on a lot of them. It was interesting to watch, and I liked the style of it. It felt grimy. It felt like we are on our last breath as a civilization. Should we have lived throughout this quiet rapture, or should we have all just died? We probably were all meant to die, but people somehow kept on living because they were probably in space when most of the planets deleted themselves and stars vanished from the skies. So it's interesting seeing this kind of last gasp of humanity as they're trying to explore literally anything on this moon with blood oceans, and they're going through and trying to find either bone remnants or signs of life, something that could kind of lead to something. I will say the biggest turnoff for this movie is its runtime. Going into it, I was like, 2-hour runtime for a feature directorial effort, and this is the synopsis you're giving me. I was like, this might feel long. Getting into it, that first hour of the movie is a slog. It's repetitive as shit. It's go back here, descend. Oh, not finding anything. Take 5 photos. Not finding anything. Ascend. Take 5 photos. Ascend. Oh, hey, you need to go back down. And he's like, no. I came back up, and you told me I'd have to go down one time. I'm a convict. I want my freedom after this. Like, don't make me sit through this. Like, the blood's leaking in through the seams of the sub, and it's just like, it's that for an hour. Which, like, the movie does a good job at really delving into the like, giving you a taste of the lore, I should say, to where I was like interested enough to keep going with the movie and wanting to understand more about the movie, but the movie doesn't touch on a lot of the lore. It made me interested enough after the movie was over, after everything wraps up, to watch like a YouTube explainer video on what happens in this game and what is the lore of this world, and I found that really interesting, and I'm like, wow, I really like that. Why the fuck didn't we really touch on that in this game or in this movie? Like I said, it's entirely set in the submarine. It kind of just loops over similar descents, and there's kind of limited momentum. There's not a lot of like urgency to it. Like you'll hear characters be like, "We need to go back down. You need to do this," and like he has an oxygen gauge in the film that you can kind of monitor, and like it's very much like a video game where you can monitor that and like, okay, well he probably needs to go up for air, but they're not going to let him out because he's welded in, so like he's probably gonna die. It's just it felt kind of directionless in where it was trying to end. I liked the ending, but getting there, I was just like, what's going on? Like, I felt it was so vague that I needed to know about the game before. This movie is so inside baseball. Like, you need to know about the game, I think, in advance and understand the game or have played the game to really, I feel like, enjoy this film to its full kind of satisfaction you could get from it. Watching it, I was just like, okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Like it was just kind of a big shrug most of the time. I enjoyed watching it, even though I didn't love watching it. Like, I didn't enjoy the act of watching this movie. It was kind of slow. And I will say, I think that there's stuff here that indicates that Mark Fishbach can be a good horror director, or just a director in general, if that's something he wants to pursue. I think there are moments of his performance where I'm like, I've seen a little bit of clips of him from his YouTube and him talking, and I'm like, I think he's putting on like a grisly, low, masculine voice. And it feels so played up and kind of obnoxious and theatrical to where I was like, can you quit trying to be tough guy tough and just settle down? It's like Glenn Powell in The Running Man where he's like, he's the maddest man in the world. It's like, no, he's not. It's Glenn fucking Powell. Settle down. He's just like, I'm angry! And in this, it's just, oh yeah, I'm so, why are you, guys, you can't send me into the depths of this blood ocean. And it's like, can you just talk like a human being? I know you don't sound like that naturally. So there's performance takeaways that I have, but like, it builds to some cool ideas, but it never really dives into those enough. So if this movie was like trimmed down to like an hour and 20 or an hour and a half, I think you probably could pad that out into an interesting story. Also, from what I know now, post watching the movie and post watching a bunch of YouTube clips on what happens in this fucking video game, I'm like, there's probably a cool story somewhere that you could put into this movie, but the movie itself, as it was released, isn't that interesting. So it looks good, it's shot well, it's boring. The performances aren't that great. They're unbalanced, I'll say. At times he works, at times he doesn't, and the movie lies on his shoulders, both in the direction, writing, but mostly in the acting. And the acting, I'm like, dude, fucking be a normal dude for a second. I can't necessarily recommend it. It's my least favorite film I've seen this year of the 4 horror releases I saw in January. But it wasn't like atrocious. It wasn't offensive. It wasn't like outright bad. It was just kind of boring, misguided, and I feel like the bones are there for this to develop into something good, but it just wasn't fully realized in this feature. So I'm hoping that Mark Fishbach, if you're going to direct again, you could build off of this and do something substantial that would be worthy of going to see in theaters. This one, I'm like, you can miss it. It's not really showing that wide. It's fine. Yeah. So I don't know if you're going to check it out. Probably not, giving my praise that I just heaped on it.
We do have a lot of YouTubers making movies nowadays with the Philippou brothers and Chris Duckman.
Which, like, with those movies, Shelby Oaks, Bring Her Back, Talk to Me, and now with this, it has surprised me on all accounts the production value. Like, it feels like a real movie. It's never felt fan-made or like a first-time director. Like, these all have a good, convincing kind of production behind it that really makes it easy to watch, where it's not pulling you out of like, oh, a YouTuber made this. Like, it's a good-looking movie. It wasn't satisfying in a lot of the ways I want a movie or a horror movie to be satisfying. It didn't scare me. It wasn't interesting. But a movie I watched immediately after, I did a double feature. I had to go to a different theater. I went to the Landmark Lagoon Theater, which I think I've only been there once before, and it was for Nomadland in 2020 or whatever the fuck. When that movie came out, or 2019, whenever that came out, because it won Best Picture whatever year. But I went and saw Arco, because that is one of the best animated feature nominees at this 98th Academy Awards coming up. And I'm trying to watch everything, and Arco was one of the big holes I had left to fill. This is directed by Ugo Benevenue and Gilles Gasol. I'm butchering those names, I'm sure of it. These are a feature directorial debut of these pairs. I know that they've both kind of gone on and made respective like short films in the past and stuff like that, but this is their first feature together. It's about set in 2075. A girl witnesses this mysterious boy in a rainbow suit fall from the sky. He comes from this idyllic future where time travel is possible, and she shelters him and will do whatever it takes to help him return to his home. There's not a lot of conflict in this movie. It's just Arco, this boy, who is, in essence, belongs to this family of people that are rainbows. Rainbows are real living people. They fly through the sky. They can go through any point in time because they're flying at the speed of light. So they're time travelers, but they're rainbows everywhere they go. So it's really interesting getting kind of that exploration of what that is in this world, and also getting a kind of look into what life is like in 2075. This is a good little sci-fi animated movie. Like, it was really fun. It kind of is in that realm of just character discovers an alien or a person from a different planet and has to help get them home or save them to prolong their existence. It's kind of like that E.T. story. It's a little bit like Stranger Things of just like, oh wow, we found someone and we need to protect them and help them along their way. There's not a lot of conflict. You get three kind of bumbling brothers that are like, we've seen one of these rainbow people before, and we need to prove to people that they exist because everyone else thinks we're crazy. And there's a lot of good comedy that happens with that. But overall, this movie was so pleasant to watch. It was so well animated. The animation is kind of, at least for me, it was a little jarring in like the first, like, I'd say 5 to 10 minutes where I got used to it. Because it's 2D, it's relatively like simplistic in the way it looks. And while it is simplistic, it's still heavily stylized. The motion still of these animations are remarkably fluid. Like, it's crazy well animated. And I get why it's now animated in this category for Best Animated Feature of the Year. The story, while at its base looks pretty basic, like that synopsis, it kind of reads like, aside from like the futuristic and the stylistic elements, it's a pretty run-of-the-mill story, but it's really refreshing of these two characters just kind of helping each other figure stuff out in the world. And it has a beautiful, grand sci-fi score that was really surprising. I was kind of blown away by this movie. I had such a great time watching it. Sadly, I saw this movie dubbed, not subbed. Again, this is a similar thing to when I saw Little Amelie or the character of Rain. I wanted to see that subbed. I prefer to watch things subbed. Otherwise, I'm just watching the mouths of these characters not line up with what's actually being said. I saw this dubbed. I'd recommend seeing it subbed. The animation is great. The music is great. There is an original song in this movie, I believe it's called Clouds Away, that definitely deserved a nominee for Best Original Song, further proving to me that it's kind of it's not a snub because this wasn't included in the list of nominees. It's more of like, Dear Me by Diane Warren Relentless doesn't deserve to be in this category. Something else, The Girl with the Bubble, or Clouds Away, or even, I don't know, any other one of the songs from K-pop Demon Hunters probably could have also made a second nominee. That song, Dear Me, doesn't deserve to be in here. I can't afford another Diane Warren rant because it's not probably good for my health. But anyway, Arco is great. It's beautifully animated. I hope that when it comes down to the Best Animated Feature category, who wins? I hope it's between Little Amelie or The Character of Rain or Arco. They're two of the best movies I saw last year. And I know K-pop has a head of steam, but I'm like, just pick the best. Not the most pop culturally relevant. Pick the best movie that is an animated feature. And I think if they do that, they will steer themselves between one of those two movies of Arco or Little Amelie. They're both splendid movies, very touching, very moving. And Arco specifically has some shots in it that I'm like, that's animated, and I would frame that and put it on a wall. Like, it's beautiful. Great contrast, awesome movie. Recommend it if it's showing anywhere near you. I know it's kind of in a little bit of a more limited release post the Oscar nominations and everything. It's kind of bleeding out around nationally. So if you can catch it in a theater near you, definitely go check it out. It's worth your time.
I knew you were going to like this one, just hearing the rainbow things. You have a lot of rainbow flags in your apartment, and I know that that's just something you connect with a lot, like very connect to a lot. So that was a big thing for you.
My brothers always talk about, and my sister-in-law, They always talk about, like, oh, you should have us on the podcast. It'd be so great. And I'm like, if I want to get fucking razzed by someone, Corey's going to do it 9 times out of 10 every fucking time. So,
no,
I don't
we should.
If I had any of my brothers on here, I'd be horribly outgunned. With you, especially you and Blake.
Yeah.
Side story, side quest. We had my bachelor party, 2 years ago in July or August, and we went to a cabin up in the Cross Lake area of Minnesota, so northern Minnesota, or central Minnesota, and seeing kind of how my friends and different people in my life kind of latched onto each other was really interesting. But trying to play poker one night and seeing a inebriated Corey and a drunk Blake, my brother, hit it off so well, I'm like, this is a fucking issue. This is so scary, these two together. So it's crazy how well Corey gets along with my brothers. It's also terrifying because then it's like, instead of having the 3 brothers that I have against me, it's now having Corey in the mix and having 4 against 1. And I'm losing that battle every fucking time. So it's just going to mostly be a Corey and I podcast because otherwise I will die.
We should have a round table.
A round table? It'd be a fucking roast, but it would be like not fun. It would just be sad and mean. It'd be like Corey just ripping into Mason and then Blake being like, oh, you didn't even think about this. What about that?
Yeah, a little roast of Mason Schmidt. We'll do that someday.
Not entertaining, just sad.
Well, speaking of other Oscar nominees, I decided to watch one that was nominated, The Lost Bus, which got nominated for Best Visual Effects. It's the new Paul Greengrass movie. It came out limited release, and then it's on Apple TV Plus right now. And it's based on the true story of the 2018 Paradise, Northern California wildfires that were started. And based on a true guy, played by Matthew McConaughey, who is this bus driver who basically is trying to get these kids from this part of an evacuation zone out of there as the fire's going on. And I fucking love this movie. Like, this was a big surprise for me this week. It was definitely a shock to see it on the nominations list on that morning where I was like, huh, interesting. Okay. Like, I didn't expect that to be in visual effects necessarily.
Yeah.
But to speak on that, first of all, I actually really like that this is nominated for Best Visual Effects because that's what the award is, the best visual effects, not the most visual effects.
Even though, with that, there's a lot of visual effects in this movie. It's kind of crazy.
There is, and what I appreciate is that you don't notice that it's visual effects because it's fire and obviously like smoke and plumes of smoke and some shots of like planes going in through the smoke and all this stuff. So I think the visual effects are great in the movie, and it is tough to do fire effects really well, and as you mentioned, kind of that consistently, because it would have been easy to nominate a Superman or a Fantastic Four or something like that, where it's, yeah, obviously this is CGI, this is not real what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But when you can make something that is real, and you don't really notice that it's happening in the movie, or like you're not singling out that aspect of the movie, I think that's really impressive. So very happy that it got nominated, actually, and happy because I watched the movie and it's really good. It was fun to just see all these different groups of people and how they were responding to the fire. Obviously Matthew McConaughey, but then you have America Ferrera plays the teacher of this group of like 22 students, and how she's trying to be the uplifting teacher and be like, it's okay kids, like it's fine, we're going to get on the bus and we're going to find your parents. And then you have like the bus depot trying to track all the other buses where they're going, and then the fire department, they're just trying to contain this, and then at a certain point they're like, we can't fight this fire anymore, like we just have to save people and like let it go.
Yeah.
So just seeing that whole process I thought was really great. I thought it was edited really well, of going between all these different groups and keeping it very constant through the movie. It's like there's a couple minutes of setup and then it's just go the rest of the movie, which it's a little over 2 hours, and I was kind of worried about that runtime, but I didn't feel it at all. Like, it was a very persistent movie, and I thought it was very thrilling in aspects where there's just light poles are coming down as fire is ripping through there, the wind is coming through. It was a really thrilling and engaging movie. I really dug it. I think it's one of the more underseen movies from last year for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't hear many people talk about it or review this movie, but I definitely think it is worth a watch because Paul Greengrass has kind of, with his kind of shaky cam style, I think it fits this movie really well.
100%.
And I thought Matthew McConaughey was great in the lead role. You get some backstory, and also his character is just going through shit in this movie where like his son hates him. His ex-wife is just bitching him out on the phone. Yeah. He's taking care of his mom. His dad just died. Also, their dog has cancer. And then he also...
He's catching grief from everyone he works for at the bus station. He's like, I'm trying my best,
like, fucking, I gotta save these kids. He's like, fucking goddamn it. So just like a nice little journey of the character, and really just, I mean, I think this will hit home for a lot of people that were either directly involved with these fires or knew people, friends, family that were involved there. Like, nature is fucking terrifying, and like a wildfire ripping through where you're like, we can't stop this. Like, it's just going.
Yeah.
And it's just like a forest. It's just trees. It's like trying to evacuate. Like, it's like a great scary movie in a weird sense where it's like, this is real, and people died here, and people's homes were lost, and that's fucking sad and awful. And I think that Paul Greengrass did a great way of kind of highlighting that and the horrors of that, but also the kind of hope that comes through that and comes after, and the kind of rebirth from it. So really like this one. It's on Apple TV Plus, like I said. The visual effects are good, but the movie as a whole, I thought was really strong.
Yeah, Paul Greengrass directing this, it makes perfect sense. His styling really works well for this movie. The visual effects, they are the main villain of this movie. The fire is the villain of this. It is the full conflict. So those need to be top-notch, and they are. So the sheer amount of fire and smoke and plumes and that imposing threat that lives throughout this entire movie, it does deserve the nomination. I don't think it has a shot at winning for that category, but the movie itself is also really good aside from that. And it's good because, similar to what you said, it is a horror movie, and it's something that is still relevant and pressing. I feel like every summer we have different wildfires going on, so it's something that people are really experiencing. So it's a good movie. It's a good, like, tight thriller of a man just trying to do the insurmountable by saving people and trying to do the right thing when he has kind of everything up against him. So, great movie. Check it out. Matthew McConaughey gives a really good performance, and I like the duality of McConaughey and American Ferrera, those two characters. It's similar to, I think, in The Office when they have like the two managers, and they're like, one, like if you're a family stranded on a boat, one parent has to be in charge of planning a way out of this situation, while the other parent has to plan, how do we handle the kids, how do we entertain the kids, how do we make sure everyone's gonna be okay. And that's kind of the operation of those two characters within this film. So I'm happy you watched it. It is a really kind of underseen film from last year, so it's definitely worth a watch. It's really great. I also watched Viva Verdi this week. It is one of the Best Original Song nominees for this Oscars coming up. It's directed by Yvonne Roussan, and it takes place within Casa Verdi in Milan, which is a home for musicians founded by Giuseppe Verdi. This film kind of explicitly avoids calling what this home is. Instead of saying it's a retirement home, it's more framing it as this is a home for old artists to live and to explore their craft still, even in their old age. The documentary explores kind of legacy, it explores aging, and how creativity, if you're a creative mind, it doesn't stop when you hit the age of 60 or 70. Like, it continues on well past that, and past traditional retirement. I watched this documentary primarily due to the nomination for the Best Original Song, but I actually really surprised myself by enjoying this, because I feel like with a lot of the documentaries that are tied to Oscars, they're typically about really serious and somewhat upsetting subject material. This was kind of a nice, refreshing thing to watch for the Oscars, because it's a joyous celebration of people in their old age still pursuing their craft, having fun, singing, playing with instruments, and just living their lives in ways that they didn't think would be possible at this stage in life, because musicians aren't always well paid. Like, sure, like big pop stars, big kind of celebrity musicians, they're well known, they're well renowned, and they get a lot of money. But like, what about the violinist in a full band, in a symphony? Like, are they well paid all the time? Do they have a full living that is sustainable to live a full life? Not always. So I was really surprised by that. This film focuses on elderly musicians living and practicing, performing, and pursuing music still, and also teaching different students as they visit this Casa Verde. It emphasizes that artists do not kind of become obsolete. They're always an artist. So I found that to be really refreshing. The song within this film that got the nomination is Sweet Dreams of Joy, which, again, it's very classical, it's very operatic. It's music that I'm not super familiar with, so it's hard to say whether I think this one deserves the nomination or not, but I did like the song and how it was used within this film. I don't know exactly when this documentary was filmed, but there's a lot of characters, or a lot of people that this film is documenting that have since passed away. And we get this song, Sweet Dreams of Joy, playing through the latter moments of this documentary where we see some of the people that we've grown attached to, where we've seen their kind of day in, day out lives in this Casa Verde. We hear this song, we see their faces, and we see the timestamp of birth and death. And knowing that some of these people that we've really found to be charming and lovable and sweet and endearing, who are still musically gifted, have now passed on. And we're hearing this song. It's very effective. It works well within the movie. It plays in the movie and then bleeds over into the end credits of the film. I think the song is diverse in the fact that a lot of the songs in this category for this year are kind of the more like showy performances. They're more memorable. They're kind of more mainstream music. This song, like I said, it's operatic. It's something kind of more niche, and it works in that regard. So I think that I understand why this one is in this category. It deserves the nomination. It's a good song. The documentary I ultimately found to be really warm and sweet, and it made me like, it makes you think of anyone in your life that is at this stage of life where they're a little bit like, you don't see them as often. They might feel forgotten. They're kind of doing their own thing, living out the latter moments or latter days of their life. But in this film, it's more of a celebratory. These people have a second wind. They get to pursue music in a different way, but do that until the day they die. And this Casa Verde is here to support it, and only that. So it's refreshing. It's a fun little documentary. It's like an hour and 18 minutes. I rented it online, and it's worth a watch. The song deserves the nominee and deserves to be in this category. So I was really pleasantly kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed this documentary.
Well, we have made it. It's been about a year, maybe a little over a year. I forget the exact day when I started, but it was in January of 2025 that I decided to do an alphabet watch through. I've talked about this many times, so apologies if you've heard this spiel before, but started last year, wanted to work through a bunch of classic movies, and decided to start with the letter A, and then when I had time, just throughout the weeks, go through the alphabet and watch a classic movie I wanted to see. This week, I finished with Zathura, A Space Adventure. I'd seen parts of this movie before, just growing up as a kid. It is kind of a quasi-sequel to Jumanji. The book, Jumanji and Zathura are based on books, and like it's from the same author. It's kind of in the same world, but not necessarily a direct sequel. There's no character overlap. There's no plot points that carry over or anything. But the same idea that there's... You all right over there? A little too much Corona down the hatch.
I feel like every episode I end up coughing, and I'm so sorry.
Just getting too drunk over there at fucking 11 a.m.
11:55, yeah.
Nice. But anyways, Zathura, same idea as Jumanji, where these two kids, Josh Hutcherson and Jonah Bobo, they are two brothers, and they find this game called Zathura, like the Jumanji board, and it kind of transports them into outer space, and they have a bunch of obstacles that come in their way. Dax Shepard is an astronaut, Kristen Stewart plays their sister, and this is a really fun movie. Like, this is... I wish I had watched it in full as a kid, because, like, I think I would have had a, like, kind of nostalgia feel for it even more, but it comes from Jon Favreau, who just consistently is making movies that I'm like, yeah, you're a good director. Like, you just have a good feel on it. I mean, aside from some, like, you know, Cowboys and Aliens.
The Lion King.
You know, Lion King, stuff like that. But for the most part, he's a great director. I just had such a fun time of, like, that Jumanji idea, but in outer space, as their house is just floating through, and robots are coming in, and different alien big lizard things, the Zorgons, I think they're called.
They were terrifying as a kid. I was so scared by them.
And they look really good in this movie, and a big part of that is because Stan Winston, who does a lot of great creature practical effects, who worked on Jurassic Park and a lot of other things, he like did some help where a lot of it is kind of practical and like actually animatronic type things. And so these big lizard Zorgon things look really cool and fun. Also just a great name for like a space lizard, a Zorgon.
Makes me think of Zurg.
Yeah,
from Toy Story.
Combination of every sci-fi thing you've ever heard. But this movie was fun. I had a great time. There were a couple like moments that I just really wanted to shout out here. Again, it's a young Josh Hutcherson, who's the older brother in the movie. And he's great. But his one line where they like it's his turn, and he rolls, and he gets this destructive robot. And the robot comes into the room for the first time, and his younger brother's like, man, what does it do? And Josh Hutcherson's like, does whatever I want. Get me a juice box, biatch. Just the confidence of like, yeah, fucking get me that, bitch.
I am in charge of you.
I was like, oh, nice. That's sweet. And then another time he rolls, and he gets this like golden card or something that you wish on a star, and you can get anything that you wish for. And everybody in the room is like, all right, wish for us to go back home so that we can get home and not be trying to get killed in space. And then like everyone leaves him alone, and he comes back into the room, and they're like, all right, did you do it? And he's like holding a football, and he's like, yeah. And they're like, we're still in space though. And he's like, they're like, what'd you wish for? And he's like, oh, I got this football signed by Brett Favre. And like, that's what you wished for? And he's like, yeah, that's what I wanted. It was my wish. It was so funny. Or he's just like, oh, fuck, I maybe I should have.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Damn
it, yeah, Brett Favre signed.
Sorry, my bad. My bad
on that one. Hopefully we roll another one of those things. That'd be great. So there's just shit that was cracking me up in this movie. And just really enjoyable, really fun. I really love just kind of the charm of this movie. And like I said, I think Jon Favreau did a great job. Helm in it. The visual effects are like very fun. It came out in 2005, just kind of in that nostalgic, like the space effects don't always look great, but it's like that was like our era growing up, and it was fun. So if you haven't seen Zathura, really fun movie. I quickly wanted to, I just in a mad dash from memory wrote down all of the things I watched in this alphabet watch through that I wanted to just quickly recap. I've reviewed all these in other episodes. So again, this is about a year stretch that I watched through all these. But starting with A, we had Apollo 13, Boogie Nights, Children of Men, Deliverance, Eraserhead, The French Dispatch, Gone with the Wind, The Host, Ivan's Childhood, Jonah Hex, Kubo and the Two Strings, Les Miserables, M, The Naked Gun 2 and 3, Once Upon a Time in the West, Public Enemies, The Quick and the Dead, Red 1 and 2, Seven Samurai, True Grit from 2010, Unknown, Vertigo, Warhorse, Xanadu, You've Got Mail, and Zathura, A Space Adventure. This was
98% of those movies are bangers.
This was a really fun watch. I feel like it was a great mix of some big Oscar movies, some classics I hadn't seen, some Jonah Hexes, and then
I was counting on my hands. I was like, wow, these are all bangers. And Jonah Hex, I was like, I can stop.
But it really, I don't know. I enjoyed doing this. It took me longer than I thought, but I mean, last year was kind of busy too with a bunch of franchises. So if you're looking for a way to kind of watch classic movies that you're maybe like, it's just overwhelming, where you're like, fuck, there's so much I need to see, maybe try to narrow it in either that way or another way that you find, because I had a great time doing it. Don't know if I'll do it again anytime soon.
I think if you do, you're going to be really hard pinned on trying to find another movie that starts with the letter X.
Yeah, there's some letters that I'm like, ooh, I don't know. But it was a fun time. I'm glad that I did, though.
Yeah, Zathura's great. And it's not really remembered as being like a sequel to Jumanji, even though it kind of is a spiritual sequel to Jumanji. It's the same premise, at least. This movie's so fun. I remember watching this movie so many times as a kid on Cartoon Network on my big fucking box TV that was in the corner of my bedroom. And just making popcorn, like whenever like you'd get the ads on Cartoon Network of like, tonight at 7, Zathura, and it'd be like, I need to make popcorn, I need to be in my bed at 6:55 ready to watch Zathura with commercial breaks. Like, I can't fucking wait for that. So I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. Jon Favreau is great in terms of directing, and I really love this movie. It's so fun. And I know if I ever watch it, it's just going to immediately take me back to when I was a kid watching it in my like twin-sized bed with my fucking comforter just up to my chin and eating popcorn. So I'm happy you watched it in its entirety at least. So it's a great movie. Check it out. It's such a fun watch. I've been watching through the Star Trek movies. I watched a lot of the classic trilogy or classic kind of run of that original William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy cast, and now I'm working more on the Next Generation cast with Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, Brett Spiner. I watched Star Trek Insurrection, which is kind of widely looked at as being one of the weaker entries in the Star Trek franchise in terms of the films. And I get why it has that kind of knock on it. A lot of people really frame this as being just like an extended episode of the Next Generation TV show, which I've never seen Star Trek television, so it's going to be kind of lost on me. what this movie has is a great cast, which I can say that about just about any of these Star Trek movies, is they have a great cast, they have great camaraderie. This film specifically focuses on this crew of the Enterprise learning of a conspiracy within the Federation against these inhabitants of this unique planet, where it's basically the fountain of youth. These people have landed on this planet and they haven't aged a day. They've lived here for hundreds of years and they're not aging. They're basically immortal. And Captain Picard and his crew, they begin to open this rebellion that kind of pushes back on the members of Starfleet that have said, it's okay, we need to rehouse these people and take this planet as a tool for ourselves, because who doesn't want to live forever? I think that this film was actually really fun. I had a good time watching it. It's a little bit more joke-heavy than some of the other Star Trek films. It's a little bit less serious. Brett Spiner, who plays Data in these Next Generation set of films, and in the show, obviously, but in this film, he mentions that his ass can be a flotation device, which not that exact verbiage, but that outcome. So it's just like, okay, like, why not? Sure. But this is also directed by Jonathan Frakes. He directed Star Trek First Contact. He plays Riker in the cast, so he has a decent understanding of Star Trek at this point. The villain is played by F. Murray Abraham, who plays, I forget the exact name of this alien race or of these people. They belong to the same subsect of people that have now landed on this planet. They're just now jealous that these people have gotten to exist within a world where they don't age, because F. Murray Abraham, as the villain, he does age, and he goes through many like skin stretching surgeries throughout the movie to make him look younger and to live a more youthful life. And there's some interesting kind of makeup and costume work there, some decent horror. I found this movie to be a really fun time, and I'm starting to learn, even with the lesser Star Trek movies, I have a good time watching them. So it's kind of wild that this franchise that I wasn't really exposed to until more so recently has been so consistent for me, and I've really enjoyed just about everything I've watched within this world. Even the schlockier or the funnier or the joke heavier entries, I still have a good time. So while I wasn't planning on watching Star Trek The Final Frontier, where they fucking meet God, or Star Trek Nemesis, where Picard has a villain clone that is played by Tom Hardy, I will likely eventually tap into those and just might as well close out the entire franchise. So I will likely be watching those movies in the probably coming weeks, because it's become such a fun ritual every week I'm catching up on Oscars, I'm watching all the stuff current, I'm seeing movies in theaters, but at home I get to watch a Star Trek movie. And it's so much fun. And I think that these movies, overall, like, I just have a great time watching it. I like the camaraderie of a crew, regardless of if it's the Next Generation crew or that original crew. I just like being with these characters. So I think Star Trek Nemesis might be the next one I check out. And then Final Frontier I'll probably save for last, which, again, speaks to the fucky order that I'm watching these movies, so I'm jumping back and forth a little bit. But I get some of the complaints of this movie. I still really dug it. I really liked it. And I'm happy to have the physical 4K of this added to my collection as well. So, Star Trek movies, none of them really suck. I like them so far. I'm not going to watch Section 31. I will admit that. I'm not going to check that one out. I don't care to. But this classic run of Star Trek, I will say, from like the 80s to the 90s to the early 2000s, before that Kelvin timeline reboot, they've all been great. I'm really a big fan. So I'm excited to kind of continue on to the lesser additions to this franchise. Moving into new releases, speaking of franchises, coming out on February 6th, 2026, a movie that Corey is hotly anticipating, Strangers Chapter 3, directed by our favorite Rennie Harlan, who I made a point to note that he directed 12 Rounds, which I loved, that John Cena movie from like the early 2000s or late 2000s. I love that fucking movie. Cutthroat Island, Die Hard 2, Cliffhanger, and then obviously Strangers Chapter 1 and 2. We get that movie coming out. I will not be checking that out. Corey will do out of obligation, as he has seen every one of those fucking movies. Yep. So I bid him adieu. I might have to send in a wellness check on you this upcoming week just to make sure that you're okay after watching this, because it looks wonky as fuck. Mm-hmm. We also have Dracula, kind of a quietly talked about film coming from director Luc Besson, who obviously made Leon the Professional, The Fifth Element, Valerian, the City of a Thousand Planets, which is a film I still haven't seen, and Lucy. He has a kind of a more decorated filmography, so it's coming from a well-acclaimed director. This is just another retelling of Dracula, and I believe Caleb Landry Jones is going to be heading up that character, so that's kind of interesting here. I don't know how expansive that release is, but I'm somewhat interested in it. If it's showing around here, maybe I'll check that out, because I'm not checking out Strangers Chapter 3. Whistle, directed by Corin Hardy, director of The Nun, which we all know how good that first Nun movie is.
Yeah.
But the director of The Nun has a new horror film starring Daphne Keane coming out this week. I'll read you a synopsis here because I don't know too much about this film. I've only seen kind of brief glimpses of it in its marketing material. But a misfit group of unwitting high school students, already sounds formulaic, stumble upon a cursed object, still sounds formulaic, an ancient Aztec death whistle. Ooh. They'll discover blowing the whistle, and the terrifying sound it emits will summon their future deaths to hunt them down. A little bit like The Empty Man, a little bit like The Ring, a little played out, a little bit like The Bye-Bye Man, which is a awesome movie to watch. It sucks so much ass, but it's a good little horror movie for getting drunk and watching horror and laughing with your friends. But we have Whistle also coming out. If that's showing near us, maybe I'll check that out because I'm not seeing Strangers Chapter 3. A movie I definitely won't check out, but I might recommend to my mom or my grandma is Solo Mio, directed by Charles Cannon and Daniel Cannon. This is the directors of Home Team, which I believe was the fucking movie with Sean Payton on Netflix, played by Kevin James. Weirdly enough, this is coming from, Angel Studios. It's their attempt at a rom-com, romantic drama. After being left at the altar in Rome, a man decides to go on his honeymoon alone, played by Kevin James. Can Kevin James find love in whatever foreign country this is? We'll see. If my mom asks me to see a movie this week, this might be the one I have to take her to. We also, in limited release, a movie that I've heard pretty decent good things about is Pilion, which is directed by Harry Lighton. This is his feature directorial debut starring Harry Melling, Alexander Skarsgård, Douglas Hodge, and Leslie Sharp. It's a directionless man, played by Harry Melling, being swept off his feet when an enigmatic, impossibly handsome biker takes him on as his submissive. A little bit of a gay sexual romp there, Corey. I know you're going to be first in line to check that out.
Don't.
You're so excited. Off camera, he's been gleaming about this movie all fucking week. He can't wait to see Pilion, which, actually, all jokes aside, I've heard really good things about. So maybe if that's showing at the main cinema, I'll try and check out. I feel like it's probably going to be down the road when we start to see that kind of expand outward nationally. So I don't know what I'm really going to be rushing out to see this week. I know Corey has to see obligatory Strangers Chapter 3, and again, wellness check will be called, but it might be a slow week for me, a good little thing for me to just kind of stay at home and watch a lot of movies at home. But I'm excited.
I know you'd be excited for Pilion.
Shut the fuck up. You can't come back from what I threw at you. Shut the hell up. You are done, buddy. Get toasted.
Fucking twink.
Moving into a physical media roundup.
Yeah, not much coming out this week. Keeper. I like that one from last year. It's okay. And
that movie.
It's okay. Friday the 13th, Part 2 on 4K, and then 310 to Yuma, the 1957 version, not the Russell Crowe and Christian Bale one. That's coming out on 4K as well. Into some movie news now. Some very sad and unexpected news that we got earlier this week was that Catherine O'Hara passed away at the age of 71. Somebody that has been around in the industry for so long. She started on Second City Television, which was a big kind of comedy thing back in the day. A lot of comics came from there, and she won an Emmy for that show, I believe, and then also won an Emmy for Schitt's Creek, which is a show that I discovered during COVID, or just had people recommend to me, and that's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, and her character is so funny. Iconic. Her voice, her David, like all of that, and just her mannerisms in that show. Just one of the definition of a scene stealer, and she's in so many scenes in that show. I love Schitt's Creek. I think it's hilarious. But I mean, probably what we knew her most from growing up, at least, was being the mom in the Home Alone, the first two Home Alone movies. And that, she played it a little bit more straight-laced of the mom there, not as much of the comedic thing, but anybody named Kevin, Kevin!
That shot, when I just finished watching Arco, and the first thing I saw when I turned my phone on after that movie was that Catherine O'Hara had passed. And the first shot in my mind that jumps in is obviously the close-up, Kevin! It's perfect, and she was everyone's mom in that moment. In that movie, she was a mom of the 80s, and she was fantastic. But not only that, she has had a long-running career that is still prevalent and mighty relevant to today. Obviously doing voice work in The Wild Robot. Still had her showing in the studio, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard nothing but great things about. And obviously Schitt's Creek. She had a monumentous career, which is almost why it's so unsettling, upsetting, and just takes you by surprise that she kind of passed away so suddenly. So it's really sad information. We have a lot of kind of roles in films and television to look back on, to remember her through. But Corey, is there any kind of big ones that stand out, jump out, are at the front of your mind when you think of Catherine O'Hara?
I mean, I also wanted to shout out Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
You got to mention that when talking about her. Even last year too, with she was in The Last of Us for some very brief scenes, but like really good,
powerful scenes.
And I mean, I think it's very interesting because I've just grown up with her like through different eras where like Home Alone is the thing I'll remember her for the most.
Yeah.
Where just growing up, I was like, like she's the mom, and seeing Macaulay Culkin's post about her was just heartbreaking.
Fucked me up.
Where he's like, Mama, I thought we had more time. I want to sit with you in a chair and just talk with you. I was like, oof, that's really tough. But then, just kind of growing up and getting into movies and watching Beetlejuice, and then, getting into Schitt's Creek when I was in college, just different like eras of my life where I just kept experiencing how great of an actress she was, and even in Beetlejuice, she's still great in that as well. So. Definitely sad, and just like 71, like it's old, but not like I don't know.
Soon.
Yeah, still way too soon, and it was just heartbreaking to hear this news,
especially for someone that's still at the top of her game. Like she was still putting out some of her best material. Like it was in the documentary John Candy, I Like Me, where you get a lot of like kind of those famed comedic talents speaking on John Candy, and you get Catherine O'Hara in the mix, and her talking about her time with John Candy is just like, holy shit, like you learn more, because like I haven't seen everything that Catherine O'Hara has ever done, but like I'm aware of her talent, and then seeing that documentary, I'm like, holy shit, you were like a pioneer for comedy, like this is crazy. So it's weird thinking back to that experience earlier from this year, watching that documentary about John Candy, where it's like, oh, Catherine O'Hara's here, and now it's like, she's not here. And she deserves that documentary treatment as well for being just a pioneer, both in what she did in film and in television, her comedic prowess. One of my favorite projects that she was ever involved in was Best in Show. Again, it's another project with Eugene Levy. They had a long-standing working career. Best in Show is a fun little mockumentary about dog owners and dogs competition, like the competition of that and all that shit. It's very funny. It works so well, and she's excellent in it, as she always is. But one of the things, like that Macaulay Culkin post of that poem, was just like, I wanted more time with you. Seeing what Eugene Levy has put out about her, and it's just like, you guys have had maybe one of the longest running comedic relationships currently running today. Like, so it's all been very moving. It's been nice seeing the outpour of just like not only TV and film personalities, but like just everyday people, like friends of mine, friends of you, that just like, hey, like fuck, the mom from Home Alone, or like mom from Beetlejuice, or just all these amazing characters, Moira, all these amazing characters that she has played, and she is now no longer with us. It's a very sad and sudden passing that feels fake still. So it's, granted, we say this every time when we lose someone. We have this amazing filmography to look back on, but it's just, this one feels more bitter, where I'm like, God damn it, like this, she was my mom at times in movies, and she was the antagonist at times, or she was the person making me laugh the hardest at times. So it's just, it's the most kind of off-putting celebrity death I feel like we've had in a while, where I was just like, it came out of nowhere, and it caught me by surprise.
Yeah, there's certain celebrity deaths where it just like hits a little bit more than others. Maybe like, if somebody is very old, like a James Earl Jones, where he's in his 80s, 90s, whatever, like it's like, yeah, he's old and passing away. But this is super, super sad news. But again, just celebrating her work. One of the first things that I just sought out to watch to make me feel better after hearing the news was the Fold in the Cheese segment from Schitt's Creek, which if you haven't seen that, or if you haven't seen the show,
watch the show.
It's a great show, and that scene is hilarious. I'll never hear the phrase fold in the cheese and not think of Catherine O'Hara. It's incredible. So, definitely, she will be missed, but man, she was hilarious, and she was just an awesome actress, and just seemingly like a very unproblematic person too, that just everybody loved. So rest in peace, Catherine O'Hara. We love everything that you contributed to movies and TV. Moving into other movie news, kind of the one main trailer this week was for season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. I dug the trailer. I thought it was cool. I think we both liked the Born Again season 1 enough. Some things we liked, some things were like, eh. You could feel that it was two different creative teams kind of merging together on that. I am excited to see one creative team taking a season on, and we get Jessica Jones coming in. See her in the trailer. Bullseye's back. You see more Foggy, flashbacks, kind of stuff there. And then Karen coming back, it seems like in a bit of a bigger role. So I'm excited for this, just to kind of have one singular vision as far as Daredevil Born Again goes, because, I don't think it's ever going to reach the heights of the first 3 seasons when it came out on Netflix. But very excited for this new season that comes out on March 24th. Into just a quick little awards roundup. We talked about Oscar stuff last week and Razzies. Obviously, the Sundance Film Festival is going on right now, too. Been hearing a lot of good things about The Invite, which is a movie with Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde. I think A24 just bought that movie. Yep. So, excited to track more of the Sundance movies as they come out. But as far as kind of nominations and stuff, the BAFTA noms came out. Not going to go through them all because all the nominations are a combination of things that we've heard before. Yeah. But just as far as best film goes for those, there's 5 nominees. They are Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. We've heard those titles before. So there's that. The Writers Guild nominations also came out. Original Screenplay, we had Black Bag, which I know you really liked, and I also enjoyed. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Marty Supreme, Sinners, and Weapons. And then adapted screenplay, I believe, this matches the Oscars, which is Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle, and Train Dreams. And then lastly, just wanted to mention the Ace Eddie Awards. This is the editing nominations, the Editing Guild. For drama feature film was Hamnet, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Weapons. And then for a comedy feature film, Begonia, Marty Supreme, One Battle, Wake Up Dead Man, and Wicked for Good. So just a little more ideas, and maybe if you're trying to make your Oscar pool to track those and see who wins the Ace Eddies or who wins the WGA, all these type of things. A couple things this week of first images that we had released. The first one was Henry Cavill for the Highlander remake coming from Chad Stahelski. I love the original Highlander movie. I like some of the sequels. I just grew up watching those, so I enjoy them a lot.
Crazy thing to admit out loud.
Yeah, they're fun. I like
Quickening?
Yeah. As a kid, I was like, this is tight.
Fuck, dude.
It's very nostalgic for me. Just as a kid, I was like, Highlander universe is sick. I love this shit. I'm curious to see about this movie. We also had the first images released for the Beatles biopics from Sam Mendes. They're just pictures, granted, but it's winning me over on some of the cast now. Is a bit more like Joseph Quinn. I was kind of the one I was iffy on is George Harrison, but I'm like that actually kind of works.
Yeah.
Harris Dickinson as John Lennon, I thought looked good, and then Paul Mescal and Barry Keoghan. I just always thought were really good casting choices.
Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr. That poster, that was the one that I was like, perfect.
The nose.
Casting. The nose. It just immediately sold it, killed it. I really like those photos. I'm also really excited about this Highlander remake because I feel like they've been trying to remake Highlander for the past 30 fucking years, and it's just there's a Bradley Cooper rendition. There's just shit going on nonstop regarding this property. Having this creative team is really exciting. I like Henry Cavill in that lead role. These images don't really give much away, but you get some of that kind of the style, the design, the costume design, at least for what Henry Cavill's gonna be wearing. So I'm not as attached to the Highlander lore as you are, but I do really enjoy that first film, so I'm eagerly anticipating this movie. But yeah, I was really kind of surprised. I still don't think we need 4 Beatles biopics. As a fan of the Beatles, not a fan of musical biopics, I'm like, you can probably do it in 2, but fucking 4. Okay, we'll see.
I'm very interested. I'm kind of down for it. I'm getting more won over.
When you have Sam Mendes behind the camera as one of the main creative leads of this, I'm like, okay, you got the right type of person in charge of this. This could be something really special. I think regardless, it's going to be a cool story. Whether it works or doesn't, it's going to be a cool kind of chamber. Just look at what we tried to do in this year with musical biopics. We did 4 movies and we either succeeded or didn't. It's kind of like when they release multiple films in a franchise in the same year. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of a crazy thing to do, like with the Matrix films and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I'm interested. I'm not excited, but these photos, they've worked for me.
For sure. Fast and Furious fans. Boo! We got an announcement that Fast Forever, I guess the 11th main one, but the 12th total Fast and Furious movie, coming out in March of 2028. Vin Diesel put out a picture with him and old Paul Walker in the first movie, kind of announcing it. So, Fast X came out in 2023, I think it was, and left on a big cliffhanger, whatever. Like a big Hoover Dam or something, or yeah, Jason Momoa's there with, I don't know, something was going on in the last one. But we're gonna have to wait another 2 years to see what the fuck happens in Fast and Furious 11.
I know everyone's just fucking shaking in their boots wanting
just
to know.
Clawing at it. But you know what? We will go see that movie together.
Oh yeah,
that's 100% just a movie that it's like, this is gonna be a great time.
Lightly slickered up, some drinks in us, and we go see a Fast and the Furious movie. We did it with 9.
Yeah, we did 9 and 10.
That movie fucking sucks.
10 was a bit better.
10 was a step up. You got Jason Momoa. I'm like, all right, you kind of sold me on this. We can get back to like the height of 5, 6, and 7. Mm-hmm. That is like the Fast trilogy. If you're gonna watch any of these movies for me, I'm like 5, 6, and 7. Stop.
Yep.
8 is good. 9 ass. 10 better. 11 I'm not eagerly anticipating, but I will be seeing it opening week, so I'm excited.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw's fun. I like
Hobbs
that movie.
and Shaw's really good.
So we'll in fucking 2 years' time, if we're still doing this, we'll talk about that.
When we're still doing this.
Last little bit of news. Nothing confirmed yet, but Deadpool. What the fuck did I just say?
Hell yeah.
Deadpool.
Corey doing a classic Mason fucking mess up. Do it again.
Deadpool Pool? What did I say?
You said Deadpool Pool.
Fucking hell. Deadpool 4 appears to be in early development. Ryan Reynolds obviously behind that creative force there. And, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, so makes sense that they would want to revisit that, and I'd be down for anything else with this character in the world. We'll see if he pops up in Doomsday or Secret Wars. I don't really know. Yeah. We have a moment with Thor from Deadpool and Wolverine that we don't know if that's going to be relevant or not.
I don't think, from what I know about from the people that do know about, that was a weird way of saying it. I don't think that made sense. But, like, from what I've heard, I don't think that gets addressed in Doomsday.
We'll see.
But
maybe Secret Wars.
At some point, Secret Wars, yeah, fuck it, why not? I'm excited to see Deadpool. I hope they integrate Deadpool somehow into the MCU. I think that's a challenge with someone that can break the fourth wall, but I can't wait. Whatever. Give me a fourth one.
I'm
sure. I've really... The first Deadpool is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. I really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool 2 is a really fun time, if not a step down from the first one, but good franchise. I like Ryan Reynolds in this role. Give me another one. It makes sense for them to do another one. But anyways, thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more in-depth movie reviews and movie news. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. In film, it's not just about what's on screen. It is also about who's in the theater next to you.
For Mason Night, Slate Night, that's a wrap.